MotionVFX reached out to me a couple days ago. They're an online company that offer products like titles and graphics, and they asked if I wanted to make this video, giving my honest thoughts and opinions on some of the products that they offer. So I got to download a couple and play around with them for the last couple of days, and I just wanted to share this with you guys. I don't promote anything on here that I won't actively use in my current workflow or anything that I don't like. So these are things that I genuinely find helpful when I'm editing videos. I got to play around with a bunch of their different assets, things like lower thirds and titles, complete intros and backgrounds, and there was also LUTs. There was on-screen elements, selecting and highlighting little boxes to make point of things, underline things, animated lists that are just going to make conveying information and sharing my color grading knowledge with you guys, which is the point of this channel, so much easier, and hopefully a lot easier to understand from your point of view. But this just isn't for people getting into educational content. There are a bunch of titles and presets that are great for wedding videos, just for standard edits. There's real estate packages. So I think anyone that edits on a regular basis would find these packages useful. I just want to show you a couple and kind of talk through how easy they are to use and what they're like in my workflow, and maybe you'll consider grabbing a couple for yourself. So let's dive into DaVinci Resolve. So I've just pulled up my recent video on a little LUT technique that I talked about a couple weeks back. If you haven't seen that one, by the way, you can check that out here. It's a great way of utilizing LUTs in a more specific, intentional way. So I downloaded quite a few of them, but as you can see, I've favorited quite a lot of them. A lot of them are super handy, and I think all these I will be using in my editing workflow, whether that's on YouTube or just standard editing videos. So if we just kind of look through them, there's a bunch of interesting stuff like really clean title animations that would just take so long to do maybe in Fusion or in After Effects or Premiere to create yourself. And that's what I think the big plus is here with MotionVFX. It's just the time-saving thing. It just brings such a nice quality to your videos, but also saves you a bunch of time rather than making these from scratch. We've got this one that kind of gives you a list or a list of chapters for the video. And this is just super easy to just drag and drop straight onto the timeline. And say I wanted them to appear as I'm talking here. They just pop up, they animate in and they animate out. It's just super clean. It's a really minimal style, which I am a fan of. And you can see it's just so easy to drag and drop that on. We have text controls. So every new line here is going to be matching up with one of these things. So we can just jump in here and change a bunch of text. We can change the thickness of lines, how long the lines are, change the spread, change the color. The whole thing is like totally customizable. There's a box at the bottom here where we can check for 4K quality in case you're creating 4K videos. And if you want to say add more chapters to this timeline, all we do is just create a new line in the text box, and it just goes through and adds a new line for every new line in the text box. So it's super intuitive. It's just going to work how you expect it to work. We have some really crisp lower thirds that just kind of fly on. Again, super easy. We just go into text controls. We can change the name, change the description. We have like whole chapter titles. So you can see if we just drag and drop this straight into the timeline, we get a really professional animation, but also formatting of our title here, all again super customizable. And then when I want to show things on the screen, I can add little doodles that pop up, and these are super easy to just drag around either in its own window, or you could just turn on your free transform, drag it over there, and now we're saying no to the vignette. We can point out things with arrows, and we can drag these on top of each other too. So now we have a little arrow, maybe just pointing to the CST here. And it's that easy. Now we have animated elements, and it took me like 4 or 5 seconds to drag and drop them in. They're going to animate out as well, and we can decide when they do that as well. If you cut them at a certain point, they're just going to animate out to wherever the end of the clip is. So you don't have to worry about tweaking any keyframes or timing. Some of my favorites are the more complex ones, things that you can tell would take a lot of time to create and animate yourself. I like this process steps one. It just gives you this little timeline that animates in and animates out. And then we get to full-on backgrounds, which is just a great way of shaking up the visuals of your video. If we just drag something like the how-to dots on, get this thing that fades in, gives you this really crispy kind of Jarvis-like background. And with the backgrounds, you can drop other assets on as a way to kind of cut away to an important visual or something like this progress bar. We're just going to drag that on, and it's like I've just dragged 2 layers on, and now it looks like I just spent the last hour doing graphics inside of Fusion. So it's really like super efficient. And as you'll notice as well, I'm just playing through these and there's no stuttering. It's just all running at real time. You can see it's going at 25 frames a second. So these are also super light on your system. I've brought some Fusion templates into DaVinci before and they've kind of been like super stuttery and really laggy, but these are very well optimized, it appears. We've got some brainstorming charts and things like this where it's like, I'm a dark mode guy. So if you're gonna fill my screen with white, I'm gonna throw up on it. So these backgrounds are also totally customizable. We can go background color, we can make that something a little darker. Now I've got this really smooth background kind of coming in and out. We have a bunch of like YouTuber call to action stuff. So drag this in, I can just have a little subscribe button pop up, which you should subscribe. You shouldn't subscribe to Patrick Parker Official, subscribe to Sam Davis in color. Down the bottom here, we get these very complicated titles too. Ones that there's just so much going on under the hood. You can see if I just drag and drop this on, and it looks like so professional straight away. All of this is customizable. I can change out the image, change the name, change the steps, the title. These are from the M tutorial pack. So they're very targeted towards this kind of educational tutorial content, which I find super useful. I'm definitely going to be using a bunch of these in my YouTube videos from now on. So I also downloaded 3 packs with LUTs. I think 2 of them had like 30 LUTs, the other one had 50 LUTs, so you definitely get like a lot of value. I'm just setting up my color management here. I've just got this one clip, I've thrown it in a group. In my pre-clip, I'm taking it from Sony into DaVinci Wide Gamut, and in my post-clip, DaVinci Wide Gamut into Rec709. That's my usual process, and I don't usually do anything outside of those color space transforms. I like to have everything kind of done within that DaVinci Wide Gamut color space, so I'm kind of using as much information as possible. But the only downside I found to these LUTs was that they are designed to work on Rec709 footage, so they should come after a color space transform on your footage, which is a bit of a bummer, but it does still work. You can see if I go down to, we go MotionVFX, and we have Classy, Film 3, and Movie. Those are just the ones I've decided to grab. And we get a whole kind of range of different color palettes and texture and tones. Some that really kind of push the image a bit further than I would like this pure amber. It's kind of just taking so much color out of the image and constricting it to one warm hue. There's a little bit of artifacting going on, but that's kind of one of the more extreme LUTs. If we just reset that and go to something more like this mint LUT, you can kind of see we're getting a bit of a matrix vibe here. It's got a nice kind of green color palette to it. So while I'm not a fan of working with like kind of Rec709 LUTs, they are a great way for maybe beginner filmmakers or content creators to kind of come up with a really quick look to slap on the end of their timeline and then just call it a day and export it. If we look over at these film ones, you can see they're definitely a lot more tame. You can see if we drop something on like this Forsythia, you can see it's got quite a nice warm color palette. If we ever get something that might be a bit too strong, like this Harvest LUT here, it's like, okay, that's pushing the color quite a bit. They are working on Rec709 and they're not doing any kind of special transforms to our footage. So we can actually dial these back a bit using our key tab here, going down to our key output and using our gain just to dial back the strength of these LUTs. If we only want to introduce like the slightest bit of color shift to our image, if we wanted to leave it at somewhere like a 0.6, now we're only having like just over half the strength of that LUT. This is the kind of thing I go a bit more into depth in my last video on kind of working with LUTs and separating their tone and their color, so you can kind of manipulate those differently. And that would definitely come in handy with a lot of these LUTs as well, kind of just mixing and matching to kind of find your style. Yeah, really great ways to kind of just at least give you a kickstart if you're not really too fussed on the whole color grading, going in depth and working in color spaces, etc. You just slap that at the end of your color managed timeline, so it's applying it to Rec709 footage, then you're kind of good to go. You can use the key output to scale it back to your liking, and they're a great way of getting a look really super quickly and efficiently. That's kind of what MotionVFX is all about, really, I guess, is just being able to throw stuff onto your timeline, whether it's graphics or overlays or titles, or in this case, LUTs, and just getting amazing results kind of really quickly, really efficiently. Hopefully it'll save you a bunch of time if you decide to grab some of the stuff from MotionVFX. If you do, a way you can support the channel is by using the affiliate link down in the description. Basically, if you buy anything from MotionVFX kind of through the affiliate link, I get a certain commission from the purchase. So you'll be supporting the creators on MotionVFX, and you'll also be supporting the channel. So it's kind of a win-win. So if you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe. We should be getting into some more color grading stuff in the next one. I might even be bringing out a LUT pack built for DaVinci Wide Gamut, which I don't see much of. Usually I see like either transforming footage LUTs or Rec709 LUTs. I don't see many that are working in the DaVinci Wide Gamut color space, which I think would be really cool. If you agree, let me know in the comments. Just kind of want to know if that's something you guys would be interested in or not. So I'll see you soon.